Good evening, Reality NSFW and Survivor fans of the world. Alex Trias and myself are kicking it on this fine summer-like Wednesday night while Johnny Fairplay's somewhere. He's always doing a viewing party somewhere, Alex. I can't keep track of it. He's with Zane Knight tonight at I believe it's at Three Notch Brewery. Is that what it was?
Yeah, unveiling the sour fair plays.
Okay, yeah. So he's partying as usual. And then I just real quickly for those that may want to go to a viewing party. There's 2 more this season. I can't believe this season, Alex,
I know it's almost done.
It seems like it just started. Time is such a crazy blur. It's like I told this guy I work with, I'm like, yeah, we got a couple more weeks of the season. He's like, seems like it just started. I'm like, I know, it's crazy. But I guess Bryson, Wendell, and Johnny are going to be together, the 3 of them, for a Johnny Fairplay Reality NSFW viewing party next week. Do you have any details on that, Alex?
Yeah, so it's at Bolero Snort Brewery. I believe you can get it through their website or through survivortix.com.
Okay.
If there's any VIPs left, those are $75. You get early access. You'll get to hang out with Johnny and several other Survivor alum, as well as watch the show along with the people who get general admission, which is at $25 for the show. I always hear it's always a great time. I personally might be finding my way down there next Wednesday. So
that's Survivor Tix. That's SurvivorTix.com. And Bryce and Wendell, 2 of my favorites. I love those guys. Friends of Johnny's and our podcast, and those guys kill it with Purple Pants podcast and all the stuff they do with their viewing parties. There's going to be another beer release, I guess, too. Special beer release.
Yeah, I think it's Juicy Fair Play IPA.
Yes,
is what it's called.
And then the finale is going to be in Hamilton, Ohio, which is just on the outskirts of Cincinnati, Ohio, at Pinball Garage. Look for more details on that. It's a free event. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait for that. But let's get down into business, Alex. I have a lot of different feelings, just things, not just talking about this episode, but just things as a whole this season. There are so many advantages and twists that even on this podcast, sometimes like Johnny and I'll be like, Alex, can you remind us what the amulet of power is?
Right.
There's so many things in play. And I think sometimes it adds for really good TV. Sometimes I think it's, keep it simple. Like I played Survivor and I podcast about Survivor every week for like the last 3 years. And sometimes I'm even just confused about, dude, there's just too much going on. We have this recurring theme of the monster that really is nothing except the game is a monster.
Yeah.
And Jeff's meddling with certain things, breaking the 4th wall again tonight, which I know. Are you a fan of the 4th wall thing at this point, or no?
I'm only a fan of it if it brings something of value. It's not bringing value if all you're saying is, we did this last season. They have no idea, though. So let's check this out. And it re-explaining it to us, even though we know the twist. And he shouldn't be treating us as if we don't. I understand you had to, for new watchers, which to say, views are up this season compared to last season, which isn't something you usually see from season to season. General watching of this season they've had good numbers. So...
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, the one thing I will say out of anything that bothers me is the do or die twist, where you have literally, a game of chance. Like you could play the ultimate game and then it could backfire on you. Now, granted, you technically have a choice to partake, sort of like we
Right.
see in tonight's challenge. So you don't have to really be a part of this twist necessarily, but I mean, you are playing a competitive game for $1 million, and I just think leaving anything a chance like that, it's one like you're certain odds of finding an idol or not, or winning a challenge. But I just think that as if I'm a player and if I went out in a do or die situation twist, I would be fucking furious.
Yeah, like I was thinking about it, and I was talking with a couple of friends. I was like, if like gun to my head, and they're like, for all future seasons, you either have to have the hourglass every season or the do or die. I'm taking that hourglass every time because even if someone hits that and like you screw the game over, you're still the other people who get screwed by that twist still have a chance to win an immunity. You still have a full voting round where you know 100% for sure you're voting that round. So you still get to implement strategy, figure out something that could save you. Whereas
Mhm.
you do the do or die twist and you're not going out because of a component of the game. You're going out because you decide to compete, which I guess is a component of the game. It's no different than, oh, you sit out for food and let other people do it. I think do that instead. On a
Right.
season like this, instead of do or die, give them a big table of food and just be like, you can sit out and eat or you can go for immunity. Like that that's where you can be incorporating that instead of a do or die. I love
Mhm.
that the do or die didn't work. Or I guess I feel like it did work for how Jeff maybe did want it to go. I
Yeah.
don't think him or production truly wanted to see someone do the do or die and lose it.
Yeah.
I think they wanted the win, but I think overall they still missed on what they wanted, which so I hope it's something where like you did it 2 seasons in a row. I have to imagine they couldn't go into season 43 and 44 and go like, we're going to bring that back. Like I think there's going to be a break from that. Hopefully.
I hope so. My other question is, do you think that the viewers that watch Survivor, that like the majority of people like think, wow, I love this.
I think they would have if it saved Jonathan.
If it saved Jonathan, they would have loved it. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
the casual viewer loves Jonathan because he's big and strong. But like as we were gonna and we'll talk about it tonight,
mhm,
we keep seeing what makes him not a good survivor player. And
mhm,
that's all my criticism tonight is gonna be about.
yeah,
It's only gonna be about Jonathan, the survivor player, not him as a
right.
person, not anything else. It's
No,
just
no, yeah, that's like you said, that's the beauty of podcasting and having different perspectives. Because if we all had the same opinion on player, it'd be a
exactly it's
fucking
boring.
boring. It'd be a stupid podcast. We all agree. Yay. Uh, Another thing just talking about the twists and stuff from all perspective. Tonight, when Jeff says, "Do you want to say it?" like the tribe has spoken thing.
Hmm.
Uh,
I'm okay with that.
I
I'm
for
okay with that because of this specific cast and how they've been just so alive about it, and I feel like it sort of re-sparked Jeff a little bit.
Mhm.
Like he was already re-sparked by having the Survivor back after having to wait a full year. But I
Yeah.
think this cast and their energy, he's just been very much vibing off them and feeling
Mhm.
very good about it. So he's sort of allowing himself to be more lenient. I don't expect it to be something that he keeps continuing to do moving forward.
Yeah,
But
like a one and done thing.
I don't mind him being a little human here.
Yeah. And then I will say, there's a lot of things like at Tribal. I absolutely, the fact that I despise the do or die thing, I found tonight's Tribal highly entertaining,
Yeah.
and it very much so the aftermath Tribal camaraderie amongst players, knowing this is a game, reminds me a lot of Australian Survivor, where it's like, you're giving your competitor your opponent props. Even like so last week we saw High go home, right?
Right.
High is a huge fan of the show. I thought he was one of the best players this season. And he was when he got blindsided, he was like he was just, oh my god, that was fucking awesome. Bravo. That was unbelievable. The fan to see this blind side. Great job. And I thought that was cool. And we kind of see that same vibe tonight. So back with what we said about the cast and the vibe of the players. I definitely think this season is set apart different than a lot of other past seasons. And maybe you might say, oh, I like the older kind of vibe better. I think season 42, honestly, there's been a lot of entertaining stuff. I could do away with some of the twists and stuff, but I don't think it's a horrible season. I think it's way better than 41. And so this is episode 11. High is gone, and says some kind of hilarious things, like he says something about High's head rolling down the road after they head off, and so he's got some funny one-liners. I love Mike as a player. I think Mike is extremely likable, and I think Mike is playing the game. I think, but I also think that Mike is someone that could take things a little bit too personally.
Yeah,
and may bite him in the butt. What are your thoughts on Mike as a game player this season?
So I sort of feel we saw hints tonight of why he could potentially get to the end but not win. And it's for the reasons that you were saying. Like, he takes things a little too personally. He starts without knowing it, he's sort of becoming the things that he was targeting and like trying to become the leader now without really feeling like he's the leader. Like, he thinks he's still playing the same. And it's easy to fall into that trap because you're giving yourself confirmation bias. So I think he doesn't see what Omer's seeing, what Lindsay's seeing. And they're like, oh, Mike's actually trying to, take a little more charge now. But isn't that why he was targeting High? Was because High was taking too much charge of things. But I love him as a player. I think he's a great character. I find him very compelling. So no matter if he wins or loses, like, I've been fully entertained by Mike.
I agree. Now, do you think someone like Mike is becoming what you just said? He not like about High and why he targeted High. He's got this, confidence, like, I'm making moves. Do you think that when he does this back, that he's like kind of like, ooh, I'm kind of like that? Like, you think he's that self-aware enough to?
I think he's definitely self-aware enough to be like, oh, that was a mistake. But I think ultimately, and I think as he should, I think he sort of will be like, but I did it. Like, I lived it. It's what happened, and I accept that that's what happened. If I went in, I probably would have done it the same exact way if you gave me a second time to do it. Like, I feel like that's just his mindset, and I respect that.
I do too. Yeah, he highly entertaining. I think if they were to ask, last season, I could see them asking maybe Ricard back. I liked it. Like,
there's a few people from that cast I think they would like call back. I think they would call Ricard and Evie, a Tiffany.
Yeah.
There's definitely, but I think there's more people from this cast and how it's being received and how they decided to edit it and that helping it how it's being received. I could see them wanting. I can see a majority of this cast being called back.
Yeah, that's crazy because we don't see like 42, 41. This cast, like you just said, there's quite a few people. If they were called back and put on a future season, I would not be surprised. And we can't say that about a lot of seasons. I mean, like, this many people, like, you would put Jonathan back on Survivor because he's such a challenge beast. You would want to see him going up against, like, oh, let's put him on a season against Malcolm. Right. Bronze returning season, right? And Drea is intense as shit. Mike is just that lovable kind of player. Many. Lindsay's fucking great. Marianne is lovable, I'm sure, by many. I'm sure she's annoying some people as well. But yeah, a lot of great characters. So we see Romeo sitting back, saying, I want to let the big egos kind of go at each other. I'm this like skinny, chilling back, and I'm not really going to be on anyone's radar and make it a few more votes. Romeo night watching some of his just eating ice and really not doing much though. I don't think Romeo is going to last much longer in this game.
I think he is. Like, I don't think
You
he's winning.
do?
Like, I don't think he's winning.
Yes.
He's reading to, like, I sort of like this episode has, especially how Drea exited, I feel like sort of opened my eyes to how I think this, like, the final 6 placements, or roughly. I see Romeo as that 3rd place, gets to final tribal council, but is that 3rd place 0 vote finalist. Because it's just like he was there. Like, what game can he explain other than I was on the bottom, I had to scrap to survive, but everyone will just be rolling their eyes because, like, you really didn't scrap. You just sat there and then hoped that someone would bring a plan to you instead of driving and trying to create something and risk your game by driving and trying to get something done. So that's sort of where I see him. But sometimes that's just the cards that you're dealt, and I feel like it is what it is with him.
Yeah, right. This amulet. So the amulet is Drea and Lindsay. Explain exactly. It's like a steal a vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah. So to explain it, with High gone, there's now only 2 amulets in the game held by Lindsay and Drea. If they agreed to use their amulets together, it would become a steal vote. But if one of them were to be removed from the game, the other person who has the remaining amulet, now that amulet becomes a hidden immunity idol.
Right. So in other words, now there's a hidden immunity idol then.
Yeah. Yeah. So as of right now, Lindsay has an idol along with technically Omer, but Mike, and Marianne. But Marianne's idol is the only one that's truly secret. But Lindsay's is, I think, also secret if they haven't revealed the full amulet thing. But I think some people know about it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, that's it's one of those things where a twist can become there's a lot of blessings and curses in this game with all these twists, and there's some very lucky people now after tonight.
Well, yeah, and like it sort of goes to show. I know I'm like sort of going all over the place in the moment, but it's just because of my fascination. Because you talked with me a bunch, and I tell you my ideas of Survivor and how the strategies and also the strategies of advantages and why sometimes it's not a bad thing when someone gets a lot of advantages because ultimately you have to be able to use them successfully. And we saw tonight with all of her arsenal, Drea wasn't able to successfully use any of her stuff. So it was sort of like, it is what it is there. So in one hand, there's too many advantages out there and a lot of stuff for the viewer to follow. But ultimately, I feel it's not a bad thing, especially when the advantages don't end up working.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, because you think like, oh my gosh, we saw Jonathan wanting to get Dre out before, where he's like, man, she's got all right, and it's like you want to flush things out, but sometimes, as you know, it doesn't really matter. It's there's a lot of luck involved. You have in your pocket. There's a huge luck factor, as we saw tonight, especially in the game of Survivor. We see this clip. Everyone's sitting around camp, and Marianne, her feet and stuff like that, and like saying like 2 to 3 times a year, her like toenails fall off, and then Lindsay's like, that is not normal. And so I found that a little bit foul. Like, I'm not a foot fetish person, and I really don't want to see people's toenails. But sorry, Marianne, that you have a toenail problem.
I feel bad for her, but hey, y'all said you wanted camp life. You're getting camp life.
You are, and that episode. I mean, I love the fact that Marianne is saying how great of a time she's having. Although the starvation and the dying of thirst and different things, how hard the game is, she is still having the time of her life. And we see this at camp. We see this at Tribal. She has a positive attitude. And I just think that's Marianne. I think that if we went to a charity event or something like that and Marianne is there, she's going to have that gigantic smile. And that's who she is. For those
absolutely
that are ever wanting to apply for Survivor, the key factor is being yourself, who you are in your video. And then when they take you out for the finals of casting, they want to see the same person that they saw in your casting video. I guarantee that what you see is what you get with Marianne. That's exactly why she's on the show. So Mike was talking to Romeo doing nothing. And we see clips of Romeo just picking at the rice, doing nothing. I think Mike is actually super hilarious. Even last week or whenever, when he chopped the snake off the head, which was fucking funny. Mike is funny and lovable, and we see him and Drea and Omer and Jonathan sitting at the beach talking about 5 scenario.
Yeah.
However, what's that?
The best 5.
The best 5. And the thing is Mike claims that that was strategy to make Drea feel comfortable. Do you also think that those people could have maybe stayed together and battled it out at all?
No, because it's not the smart move. It's not the smart move. Like, if you're there to win the game, like what Drea said was 100% incorrect. Like, she's like, I want to go against the people who also want the million as bad as me. I'm like, no, I want them voting for me at the end.
Yeah.
Like, the concept of, in order to be the best, you have to beat the best by bringing them to the end and beating them. Guess what? If you vote them out, you still fucking beat them. So to beat the best, you did beat the best because they're sitting there. You're sitting over here in the winner's circle while they're all there handing you the money. That's what I want.
Yep. The point, because I mean, in theory, it's like, oh, hey, man, no one's ever done this. Let's just us 5. Let's just battle it out. Well, when you're playing for $1 million, it's like it may not be the best idea, as you just said. Mike's wanting Drea to feel comfortable. Omer doesn't trust Mike at all. We're talking about how Mike is turning into the new high, turning into the person that Mike did not like.
Well, you can sort of blame yourself for that, Omer. Like, Omer's so good at incepting people into the plans that he wants. He's Dr. Frankenstein, Mike's Frankenstein's monster. Like, you created this. So it's sort of like, do you put him down and blindside him? The humane way to do it, as an Australian Survivor says, or do you roll with it? And in this instance, he decides to roll with it. And it's knowing these people. I feel ultimately Omer couldn't betray Mike because he knows for a fact if he betrays Mike there and sends Mike home, he ain't getting Mike's vote. And Mike's going to be talking all types of crap about Omer and Ponderosa with everybody, saying why these are the reasons why Omer's the true snake of the game. He's the reason why I found out about you, High. And then High's like, I never said that. Now Mike has more ammo. Now High's mad at Omer. And it's, you laid your eggs in this Mike basket. You had to lay in it.
Yeah. So it's now day 20. Marianne, Drea, Lindsay talking about how miserable they are because everyone's tired. They're not, and everyone's having a tough time. But we see Jonathan. He is laying passed out in the shelter, and he is just saying, I burn 2,000 calories a day by doing nothing because I'm such a massive human being. And so you start to see, for me personally, if I'm hungry or tired or had sex in a while or something, that's the kind of shit that gets me grumpy, right? So that's kind of a scenario that could happen on Survivor. I mean, obviously, Jonathan is very hungry. He's not sleeping real good. And this bad attitude, which we've seen kind of, he's had like little not fights, but like Lindsay on
Bursts,
the
like little
beach, right?
outbursts.
Yeah, and they're slowly getting more apparent. And I don't know if they just were not edited into the show earlier and he was like the entire time, or if this just is a byproduct of him being just getting late in the game and he just physically exhausted.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna say this about I have several points here.
Yeah.
One, Jonathan, I'm like half your size in terms of just like overall girth, and I'm 5'8". I also effortlessly will burn over 2,000 calories. So like that's not just you being a big person thing. So that's one. Two, I don't think this is him. Like sometimes it's like, oh, when like they start snapping the longer the game, like that's the true self coming out. Like I don't think that's like this is what he is. Like, oh, when once someone says something that goes a little against what he's trying to advise, he suddenly snaps or is angry and judgmental. Like, I don't think that's him. I think it is just totally him not used to feeling this type of fatigue. And then like it just comes out in a certain way. But I also feel he sort of has this like woe is me mentality of like it's like if I went to Walmart to go buy a version of Coach, but I ended up with Jonathan, and it was like this weird hybrid of Coach 1.0 and Rupert 1.0, where it's like Rupert's whole thing was I'm getting the fish, I'm making the fires, I'm doing all this, and everyone will owe me for that. And like Jonathan has that part of it, but then he also sort of has like the Coach thing of like, well, I'm the martyr. Like I'm doing this selflessly. I'm not making a big deal about me doing all this stuff for the tribe. But like, why aren't you guys giving me my respect now? Like, why aren't you just listening to what I'm saying? And so it's like, it's very old approach to the game that just I feel does not work or connect with people on a game level anymore.
Well, I feel in his even said like, I'm trying to hold back. I can, lose my temper. But what I don't agree with kind of is, and I'm a Jonathan fan. Like I like watching him play, compete and stuff. But when you said at the beginning of this episode and said before why Jonathan is not a good Survivor player from a strategic point, this is where it is. You should not expect people to thank you and praise you like you're God's gift or doing things around camp, because I'm sure they realize that. Like if I give someone a gift or if I do a bunch of nice things, it's like I don't do those things with the thought that someone's gonna like give me brownie points for it. I just do it out of the goodness of my own heart and stuff like that. Now I think at the end of the game, if he makes it to the end, he could say, to prove his point in a jury speech, he could be like, look, I killed it in challenges. I'm a huge guy. And even when I was feeling like shit, I was killing myself trying to provide for my tribe. I was doing so he could make a point to people in that scenario, but I just feel like him getting pissed that no one's like appreciating him is kind of a bad move, because Lindsay wants his ass gone. And Lindsay seems like a fucking super cool chick. Like I love Lindsay. Like I hope Lindsay wins this fucking game.
Yeah.
And she, obviously we've seen them have some little arguments and they're both competitors and stuff, but if Lindsay's like, I really want to get this guy out, he's been snapping and shit, that kind of says a lot to me.
No, it does. And like, it's just like, and like what you said is true. Like he could attempt to say that. I don't think the people on this cast are really any cast moving forward, except for Roxroy will appreciate the contributions to camp life, like in the physical sense rather than the social sense. And it just overall marks the point that I've been trying to make this season is his reads over the people that he's playing with are just wrong.
Mhm.
Like, he's thinking this is what they appreciate from me, so this is what I need to do. And like, oh, I have to hold my tongue because that's what they expect from me, instead of just being himself. And because I feel like him being guarded is like forcing himself to go do this stuff instead of socializing around camp, doing more strategy talk, really understanding the dynamics of the people around him. Because it really just feels like he's being told stuff to be in the loop, but he's not a part of the loop. Like, there's this circle, but he's like a little bump off of the circle.
Yeah, he does it. I mean, because we see Omer and Drea and Mike, they're all really trying to make the moves, and they're strategizing together and gameplay. And we really, we don't see a lot of that at all. Jonathan, I think a couple episodes ago, he was really like, hey, I think we should do this. I think we should vote out Drea because of this. That was like, when Drea and Marianne played her idol episode. So I think he's aware, just hone in. I mean, he's such a beast. If he could just hone in on his gameplay and social game better, you know what I mean? Then I think I don't know. I think he'd be in a better position. My apologies for freezing up at all. I'm using my Wi-Fi like I always do. I don't know if my kids are on the gaming PC, so
we'll keep fighting through.
So before we get to the challenge, let's hear a little word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back to discuss the epic second half of tonight's episode.
We're all trying to eat better, but healthy breakfast doesn't have to be boring. Magic Spoon has the amazing flavors you love, but without all the bad stuff. And it's amazing as a midnight snack right before bed.
0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. That's only 140 calories per serving.
It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. And build your own box. Available flavors to build your very own custom bundle are cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon, cookies and cream, and my favorite, maple waffle. Now, Magic Spoon recently brought back their 2 super popular flavors, cookies and cream and maple waffle. Thank goodness. But they're back permanently. And when these flavors were first introduced for a limited time, they sold out extremely quickly. Now, I'm here to let you know you can get them again or try them for the first time. Why? Because they're delicious and indulgent.
Johnny, Magic Spoon has so many great flavors that I really enjoy, and even my kids enjoy them. We have the cocoa, fruity frosted, peanut butter. All these are really great combinations. They enjoy waking up in the morning and getting some Magic Spoon right off to start their day great before they head off to school. I think everybody listening should give Magic Spoon a try, or if you've tried them already, it's time to reorder. Let's get you some more Magic Spoon and get your day started right.
Hey, when I finish a podcast late at night, the first thing I'm thinking is not sleep. It's let me grab a delicious bowl of Magic Spoon before I go to bed.
So go to magicspoon.com/survivor to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code SURVIVOR at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/survivor and use the code SURVIVOR to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this podcast.
Thanks for sticking with us through the ad break. Don't forget, for more exclusive Reality NSFW content, visit adfreeNSFW.com.
This episode of Reality NSFW is sponsored by Blue Chew. Say it with us, Blue Chew. Blue Chew is making waves and bringing more confidence to the bedroom by offering chewable tablets that can help men get stronger and longer-lasting erections. That's right, we're giving away super hard dicks.
Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men achieve harder, stronger erections to combat all forms of ED.
Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor offices, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in a discreet package. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the best part, it's all done online.
Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. Don't like swallowing pills? No problem here. Blue Chew's sildenafil and tadalafil tablets are chewable. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and they prepare and ship direct, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy.
Hey, if you're looking to give that immunity idol to someone, or you don't want to be voted out of a crater, don't worry, Blue Chew's got you covered. So if you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information.
And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code SURVIVOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's Blue Chew, BLUECHEW.com, promo code SURVIVOR to receive your first month free. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
Oh, Blue Chew, Blue Chew. Johnny's probably taking one tonight at the viewing party. He's always taking Blue Chews. For those that want to hear crazy Blue Chew stories, you can become a patron where we do a weekly Q&A. We do patron-only content. There's a secret Facebook. It's a big community of just, all love reality TV. And it's the best way to support the podcast. So ad-free NSFW.com. That's ad-free NSFW.com. Become a patron today, and you can hear all of Johnny's especially crazy Blue Chew stories. So we are going to this immunity challenge. And right before the challenge, Alex, this is where Jeff addresses the viewer at home, breaks the fourth wall, telling about the twists and all that stuff. Now I saw this in season 41 where we episode 1 season 41 we saw like the camera crew during the ring and stuff like that, and you got a really cool behind the scenes glimpse. We also saw that game within the game stuff that kids could look for something in the show and not, but this, I don't know. I don't really need to hear of him addressing us. What is on that?
Yeah, it's sort of, it is what it is. I feel like it was something where they're like, oh, it's gonna work for 41. We'll just throw it into 42 as well and see what happens.
Yeah.
Give Jeff some shine. It wasn't needed, but like I enjoyed the slight difference here than last season when it comes to the players deciding, because when he drops the bomb on them, you see like all of them just like, well, fuck, like you're telling us like all this work that we had planned could be fucked up over a game of fucking chance.
I know.
And like we all know for fucking hell Jonathan's gonna pull the purple rock and compete, because why the fuck isn't he going to? So do we even try? Like, do we risk that we lose to Jonathan and then we're the ones who potentially go out, not because of the game, but because of a game? So you see everyone except for Lindsay and Jonathan step up and say they're not going to compete. And like, I felt so bad for Lindsay there. And like the entire time I'm rooting so hard for her, like watching her just like go through hell on that torture device, the Christian Hubicki challenge.
Yes.
Oh,
this looks very painful. You gotta, it's one of these endurance balance / just hell on earth where you're holding on to a bar kind of above your head and your feet are standing on a perch. The person up there is the winner. I thought that 100% Lindsay's going to win.
I thought so too. I was like, oh, with all this time, Lindsay's obviously going to win. The whole plan was Jonathan's supposed to go, but now Jonathan's going to be the one who gets saved by the do or die twist. And then ultimately Drea goes home, because my whole prediction for this episode was that Drea was going to go, but I thought she was going to go by the do or die. not because the do or die worked.
Right. No, I hear you. So yeah, I thought there's no way with, Jonathan throughout this episode had been complaining about how tired he was and how he lost all this weight and how weak he is. So I thought, man, a woman has a really good chance of winning this challenge.
Oh yeah, like a woman or like someone who's like I feel a Romeo, like a body type like Romeo should do very well on this challenge because you don't have as much muscle.
Yeah.
And like that's not a knock on you. That's actually a strength for you there is by being slender, you can have more flexibility. Whereas when the bigger your muscles are, the less flexibility you have, especially in your upper body. And we all see how Jonathan looks.
Yeah.
Like the dude's yoked. So that's always going to be hard for him.
Yep.
But, congrats to him for gritting it out.
He wins. He gets it. And, I was like, someone's going to get, but while they're doing this challenge, I'm like, someone's going to get tonight over this fucking do or die thing. Really bad. Jeff, he says something about the monster here. He said the monster is always starving. I find
please drop the monster gimmick into 43, please. I know he's not, but please.
Yeah,
Croaks. Everyone else listens to us. I know you listen to us, or you have someone listen for you. Stop it. Yeah, look at yourself in the mirror, slap yourself in the face a couple times, and wake up. The monster's not real.
I know. This isn't the show Lost where there's like a smoke monster.
Do you think he's been out in Fiji for too long?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the monster. I find it very stupid. But yeah, Lindsay drops. Jonathan is safe, which is good for him. I mean,
good for him, bad for everyone else who's just like, fuck.
Yes. So, Lindsay's game is going to be determined by a 1 in 3 chance of picking the correct do or die box.
And it was what I loved. I love the storytelling in this episode from here on out.
Yeah.
Because they do the fake out of going into her childhood. And that's always like if you show it that late, that's when you're going. They also they talk about her who's like, I should have listened to my gut, but I went with my competitive nature instead and went with my heart instead of like my gut. And then you get to the do or die and she goes with her gut and it pays off. So it was sort of like her teaching herself like, it's okay to not do the Monty Hall problem and just stick with what I pick. And it works. And she gets the flame, which represents life. So she's safe to Final 6 and gets the idol because she trusted her gut this time. So I love that.
Dude, it was beautiful. I mean, she was definitely, pissed at herself for the decision. She think, fuck, I have this game of chance or whatever. But yeah, the way that it plays out was beautiful. I was thinking the same thing, stories or the footage from home, like the football. I love that there, and that's kind of how she really kind of developed this competitive edge to her. Mike wants Drea to go if Lindsay survives the do or die.
Right.
Lindsay, and then we see Lindsay, Marianne, John are all wanting Drea out. There's a big consensus of players that say Drea's a badass, and if Drea makes it to the end of this game, Drea's fucking winning. So, Drea, if there's any silver lining in this, it's like you were well respected as a game player, and to me, that's the biggest compliment that you can get in Survivor.
I feel like what they appreciated from her, and what I feel most of these people appreciate with each other, even though there's a lot of lying scheming, there's certain people that are just very upfront, like very honest with how they feel, even if it's not in a game mode, but just like as a personal mode, as they talk around camp. Like Drea's very blunt. Drea says it how it is for her. So I think like there's respect there, and then you count like, oh, look at all these fucking trinkets she has found throughout the fucking game.
Yeah,
and she's very well liked amongst all of us, and we assume all the jury. So if we let her get there, she has a smooth ride compared to some of us. So let's get rid of that. And like
Mhm.
they think that she's totally on board because of her competitive nature, just going Romeo. But I
Mhm.
love that despite her execution, like she's a flawed player who I think could learn from her stuff, like her mistakes. Because like I think her bluntness is also a bad thing for her strategic game
Yeah.
because she like sort of puts it all out there. But
Right.
she's very good at observing, and she's like, I can just tell. And it's not, instead of it being paranoia, it's like correct paranoia of like, I see them all making these weird like facial like stuff,
Mhm.
and like they're going to the well and then they're not coming back with water. They went to go get wood, they're not coming back with wood. They keep
Mhm.
having separate conversations, but they're not pulling me in. Am I the
Mhm.
vote?
Right.
Maybe
Right.
I should do something about it. And she happens to go to the one person who maybe isn't entirely on board with the plan, and that's Omer. And that's where she makes the mistake of revealing to him the knowledge is power.
Yeah, because Omer and Drea are talking, and Drea has this, informs Omer. Now Omer has, because Omer's smart, he knows what's going on. And this is where I'm as a viewer like, shit, there's so much crazy stuff going on. So like if this scenario plays out where, you know, she plays knowledge of power and asks Mike for the idol, and then he could technically give his idol to somebody, or there are just so many different scenarios that could happen, which makes it, as much as I hate the twist, it does make it a little bit exciting because you're like, fuck, what's going to happen? What's going to go down? You know what I mean? So that excitement, I think, needs to happen, because I think there hasn't been a lot of super exciting. There's been like just a lot of, typical tribals and typical stuff. Like this was a fucking exciting episode. So basically, one thing is vote out Drea and kind of flush out her shit, get her out of the picture. Another thing is, could you get out Mike if you convince him to not have his idol on board? And this is all if Lindsay, goes a certain way. So we go into tribal council.
Well, before we go into tribal council, I do want to talk about the Omer and Lindsay conversation, because I think it's valuable here. It's Lindsay that brings up, when Omer confides to Lindsay like all of Drea's dirty laundry, it's Lindsay that brings up the idea of, because I think Omer wanted to push to Lindsay like, oh, we can get Mike out. But Lindsay goes like, but Drea's more of a threat. What if we convinced Mike to give one of us his idol for the night? It wastes her knowledge and power. Good. So like it was Lindsay's move, but who gets blamed for it? Omer.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like on Survivor Caramoan, honestly, like Cochran was doing the moves, but like he was getting blamed, and like ultimately, like if the target away from you, that's beautiful gameplay. Making a move, but not letting anyone get pissed at you for making the move, because you're letting someone kind of, you know what I mean, be the puppet master on certain things. So this that Lindsay, if she gets it to the end, she's well liked. She's had a great game. She's fucking playing the game. She has a good resume, dude. To where I think her resume goes up against anyone out there. Even Omer's really smart and stuff, but man, Lindsay is
Well, I'll wait to give my big predictions, because most likely I won't be back on here until the finale episode.
Yep.
But let's dig into this tribal. Then I'll give you my opinion on what we're seeing.
So going to the tribal, Lindsay's kicking herself because she's saying my competitive nature took over, and I wasn't making proper decisions. I was thinking from a competitive standpoint, and I was like, "Fuck, that was a bad move." And then Drea's crazy fucking eyes. She's fucking, it's like a horror movie, they said. She's saying that she observes everything. When you go to get wood and you don't bring back wood. When you go to the well to say you're getting water, but then I visually see you didn't fill your case. That right there, I'm like thinking to myself, Drea's kind of given away how gnarly of a gamer she is by saying this shit.
Right.
I would almost not say that stuff because if I'm sitting next to her, I'm going to be like, whew, she's noticing everything. I would start questioning my gameplay and my, like, I'd be like paranoid as fuck. Like, dude, did she hear me and Alex at the talking the other day about her? Like,
Nah. I made sure I was very quiet that time.
Yeah, that all she needs is a spy shack, man. She's crazy.
She's observant as hell.
But yeah, so here's the deal: this do or die thing.
Yeah.
Jeff says, Lindsay, come on up. He explains it. There's 3 boxes.
Yep.
One has a flame, which means you're safe. There's 2 skulls, which represents dying in the game. So you have a 1 in 3 chance, which is like, fuck, dude. Like that's, and I'm wondering, do you think there's any way production could have fucked with this at all or no?
No, I think they generally did have it as 2 skulls, one flame.
But I know that. I'm saying like, right before Tribal, someone is like, hey, when you go do the do or die thing, choose the left one. You don't think they would ever do that? I don't think they would. I played Survivor.
I would like to believe that they did not do that because I don't think there's excitement there. I don't think you would have been able to have the contestant at that point in the season be able to feign acting.
Yeah. I don't think they did. It's just crazy to me that 2 seasons in a row.
Well, what's more crazy for me is that they go get so like this whole thing is called like the Monty Hall problem, where there's 3 doors.
Yeah.
And they eliminate one of the doors after you pick one. And they're always going to eliminate one of like the bad answers. So then it turns into, instead of a 1 in 3, it's like a 50-50. Yes. And in the Monty Hall problem, it's like determined statistically, you are almost always supposed to switch when given the option after they cut it off. Because technically, like statistically, your odds if you switch move from a 33% chance to a 66.7% chance of guessing correctly. It's weird. It's like the deal or no deal thing of like if you get to the final 2 cases and they say like, well, do you want to take it or do you want to switch your cases? It's like more times than not you're supposed to actually switch. But it's just funny that both times here, Deshaun and now Lindsay go against that like mindset and it pays off for them. So I also get a laugh there that it's just like laughs in the face of math.
Yeah. No, this is fascinating because she ends up choosing the middle box, which, it was, she stayed with her gut, like you said, and she did not switch after they did the first thing. She didn't switch. And you're like, I'm like freaking out. Like I'm thinking to myself, well, first of all, here's one little indicator. There was like 15 when travel started. I looked at my it was at 8:45 p.m. And my son and I was talking to him. He's like, dude, 100% she's safe and they're gonna do a bunch of fucking crazy shit.
But they don't expect you to be looking at the time while watching the.
I know.
I was the same way because my clock is right underneath my TV, and I'm like, and I look down right before they did a reveal. I'm like, oh, it says it's 8:50. Oh, they have time for a vote.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking podcast mode, right? So like, I was like looking. I'm like, shit. So this is my favorite count of this, even though I hate the do or die. Lindsay is safe, thankfully, because if she went home on a bullshit thing like you fucking missed, once she is safe, everyone is congratulating her and happy. Like, fuck, dude, that's this is another reason on the resume. Look, I went against the biggest challenge beast probably in Survivor history, Jonathan, to risk the potential thing of me doing the do or die. I lose. I do the do or die. I gamble. I fucking overcome that. You know what I mean? That's huge. If I'm on the jury, I'm like, Lindsay, you rolled the dice. You were swinging for the fences the entire time. You have my fucking vote. This is
Yeah,
So
everyone's looking at Lindsay there like, of the remaining people in the game, you, madam, have the biggest balls out of everybody.
yeah,
You will never need a blue chew in your life.
that's right.
Like that's
Do you think that this for Lindsay that people are going to be like, "Ooh, man, like we need to get her out of here or she's going to win"? type thing?
I'm not sure because it's like a different scenario than what Deshaun was in. Like when Deshaun was in this, he was on the bottom. Like he was like in a space where he needed it.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Lindsay has very good relationships with Mike, with Omer, with Marianne. A strained one with Jonathan, but I really think Jonathan doesn't really have a clue. He's only caring about challenge stuff right now, and that's the only reason why he would want Lindsay out. He understands Lindsay is a good ally for him, and like Romeo's there.
Yeah.
So it's like like I think this doesn't impact her. Like honestly, one of my takes is I feel like she's one of two people that I've narrowed down as someone who can be crowned the winner of this season. But I could also see her like dramatically losing in fire making.
Oh God. Well, I think no matter what, we're gonna have an exciting end to this season. I think so. After she's safe, they have to go to an actual vote. So Liz is safe. Jonathan has immunity idol. We don't know what's going on if Mike has his idol or doesn't. But Drea reads the knowledge of power letter.
Yep.
So she straight up asked Mike, do you have an idol? And I'm kind of on the edge of my seat, or I'm out of my patio, and no. And I'm like, oh, like, damn, this is fucking crazy. This is crazy. I love this shit. He says no, and I'm like stressing out. So like this is where I'm like, shit. Are they gonna vote out Mike? Like, and because he obviously gave his idol to Omer, but they go to a vote. After the vote, Drea plays her extra vote, and as we've talked about throughout this whole podcast, even if you have the most advantages and twists and shit, you can still your game can be ruined. That's the beauty of Survivor. I'm glad that kind of all this shit is kind of done with now.
Yeah, it's like we have one more next episode. I think a lot of stuff's getting played, but we'll get into the finale and it'll be like good.
Yeah, I agree. So what I love is this, like Drea goes home and it was so cool because she addressed every single person sitting there. She said, Jonathan, this, and she called out everybody, she's saying this in front of the jury.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a brilliant and beautiful moment in Survivor history that she's going out like this. It was totally fucking awesome. And even Jeff says, wow, I've never seen anything like this. And he says, and I love what he says. He says, it's so cool, didn't Drea? Like, this shows that this is a game and respect one another's games. And this is kind of what I envisioned Survivor to kind of play out like. However, so this gives me the warm fuzzies like on Australian Survivor, because a lot of people are bitter as hell on American Survivor when you get voted out. And I get it, because yes, I agree that the game, like, you should respect. Like last week, I was like, you got me. But I guarantee you, shortly thereafter, you're sitting at Ponderosa being like, I just lost $1 million.
Right.
This is not just, this is for $1 million. So I do get why some people get crushed and stuff. But this was the camaraderie here with this cast. Drea's hugging Mike, and they're like, yeah.
Did you throw two on me? Yeah, I threw two on you. I'll still come visit you in Canada. It's all good.
Yeah, dude, I love this. So, like, I'm really hoping, like, when we saw season 30 of American Survivor, the Dirty 30, I've hung out with a lot of those people, a lot of my friends. They had a really tight cast, and I definitely feel that for the most part, I think that this cast is going to be a solid group of friends and going to visit one another. And especially when this shit was filmed, dude, in the heart of like COVID was going on and it was like really crazy. And this is an adventure of a lifetime. So Drea, you went out with class. I loved you, Drea. It was great. Super entertaining tribal. What are your thoughts? You wanted to save them till the end of how you think things are going to play out. Give it to me, Alex.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm still going on record as saying Omer is my favorite player of the season. Omer's game is gone. He's gone next episode. I'm calling my shot. He's getting taken out next episode. Like, we have to think about it like this. Most likely, either Jonathan or Lindsay is winning the next immunity. Mike has an idol. Marianne has an idol. If they're targeting Marianne is playing her idol. Mike then plays his idol out of fear. Lindsay plays her amulet because the amulet has to be played at 6. So now that only leaves Omer and Romeo really as options. And are you really going to take out Romeo?
Right. He can be taken out.
So it's like more of it's going to be another like version of Drea here. Like, Omer's most likely going to go next week, but it has nothing to do with like him playing a bad game. He's played a fantastic game. It's just that now people are recognizing it. And he doesn't have the tools or the performance ability currently to be able to fight against that. And when you are Littlefinger's fate in Game of Thrones, spoiler alert, it's not really a spoiler because if you haven't watched it, you're not going to watch it. Littlefinger dies because of his own abilities because people figure him out. So I think that's Omer's similar fate, but I love him. I think the winner of this season is either going to be Lindsay or Marianne. One, because Marianne was my preseason pick, and I called that shot back in our preseason cast assessment. So I would love to be the one that was right amongst all of us. And plus, like, I just feel like they've been telling like a very cool, like, social and like emotional story with her, which is different than other winners. Like, not all winners need to be strategic masterminds.
I agree with that.
And I think she would be a fun winner if Omer can't win, or if Mike can't win. Then I would love to see Marianne win. I think either Jonathan or Lindsay lose in fire making. One of those two is losing there. I don't know who against. I don't know how. Like, those, like, essentially, I think either Marianne or Lindsay are in the final 3, but not both. And then it's like Mike and Romeo. Mainly because I want to see one of each tribe be at the end.
Oh yeah,
and then like get Romeo as like a 0 vote finalist, and you have like some votes go either way for Mike and Marianne or Mike and Lindsay, and it's a close vote. I would love to see that.
I would too. I am rooting for. I don't think Jonathan can win the game.
I don't think he can either.
Even if he wins all the challenges,
and the challenge is most likely calling him. So
yeah, so super entertaining. I dig it, but I really am hoping Lindsay wins. But if Mike or Marianne were to win, I am totally cool. There's really, I mean, last season I said, oh, if Erica wins this, I'm quitting podcasting. People got all buttered.
And yet you're still here.
I'm still here. I was fucking around. But yeah, there's a lot of people like I would, if Omer,
and that's
if Omer made it to the end and win, if Omer made it to the end and won, I would be happy. The only person that wouldn't be happy probably would be like Romeo, just because I just don't, just because. And but yeah, man, I like tonight. I was super entertained. Yes, I have my opinions. I can't stand the do or die. Don't do it. I'm happy it did not fuck over Lindsay's game, because if you lose and get voted, or you lose because of a stupid twist that Probst came up with, I think that's lame. But overall, great episode. So yeah, we love all of our listeners. And so if you want to check out more podcasts, the Reality NSFW network has a whole slew of stuff to listen to or watch on YouTube. We have Survivor Ladies Night, Big Brother, challenge coverage all summer long. There's going to be podcasting. Alex and many different people, Lauren Pratt, Johnny, Brent, a lot of people podcast on our network. So there's for different shows you all love. We're bringing it to you. And then our Patreon side, which is the best way to support the podcast, ad-free nsfw.com. We do the weekly Q&A where Johnny tells crazy stories, and I'm always entertained. It's my favorite podcast we do of the week. Just shooting the shit, just talking, having a good time. We do the Australian Survivor coverage. And yeah, thank you for listening and being on this journey with us. It's been a crazy couple years. The fact that Survivor is here, I'm very happy. And we got 2 episodes left. It's kind of sad, and hopefully we'll have some post game exit interviews with some people, because there's a lot of players that I would love to talk to.
But don't worry, while we're also getting those postseason episodes, and including starting tomorrow, you'll find Johnny, Matt, or not Matt. I would love to have Matt on eventually if he decides to watch the show, because it's awesome and I think you would totally love it. Lauren, Johnny, and I will be starting our Challenge All-Stars Season 3 coverage starting tomorrow afternoon at 4:30. The first 2 episodes premiered today on Paramount Plus. It's all finalists. Every single person on the cast has either won the game or has made the final. So it's a bunch of heavy hitters, a great cast. I've already watched both episodes. It's shaping up to be a fantastic season. And we also will have a special guest on tomorrow that you will not want to miss.
Well, there you have it. We will see you, at least I will see you next week for another awesome episode of Survivor Season 42. And cheers, everyone, and have a great.
And for more Reality NSFW content, visit adfreensfw.com.